Andrej Karpathy, the creator of Auto Research, just dropped another banger on Twitter. He just completely shifted the way we look at traditional RAG. Andrej said we don't need vector databases, embedding, or any fancy RAG pipelines to build knowledge bases anymore. All you need to build a personal knowledge base that beats every single one of these tools is a folder full of markdown files and an LLM. I've been having a ton of fun with it over the past weekend, and by the end of this video, here's exactly what you're going to walk away with. 1. A full understanding of what Karpathy actually built. 2. Seeing how this actually works with a live ingest and showing the compounding loop in action. 3. A brand new wiki built from scratch in under 5 minutes. 4. Every tool, tip, and prompt that I use to build out these knowledge bases. 5. And this one's my favorite, how to turn one wiki into client documents, presentation decks, and scripts on demand. I'm excited. Grab your coffee and let's get into the video. If you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, here's Andrej's tweet from a couple of days ago talking about these new LLM knowledge bases. His short TLDR, it's raw data from a given number of sources being collected, then compiled by an LLM into a .md wiki, then operated on by various CLIs by the LLM to do Q&A, and to incrementally enhance the wiki and all of it viewable in Obsidian. You rarely ever write or edit the wiki manually. It's the domain of the LLM. I think there is room here for an incredible new product instead of a hacky collection of scripts. A couple of things that stood out to me is that he mentioned a large fraction of his recent token throughput is going less into manipulating code and more into manipulating knowledge. He talks about using Obsidian as the IDE front end where he can view all his raw data, which is also where the wiki is being compiled. If you have no idea what Obsidian is, I just posted a video last week combining Obsidian and NotebookLM and how it can supercharge your Claude Code. I dive into Obsidian a little bit more and make it a little bit more clear on what it actually is. So if you need a better understanding, hop over to that video right after you watch this one. The most interesting part to me is the Q&A section where he mentions as soon as your wiki gets to about 100 articles or 400,000 words, you can start, and you could do this before, but you can start asking your LLM agent all kinds of complex questions against the wiki. This line right here is why I'm alluding to the fact that I think this will shift the way we look at traditional RAG. He said, I thought I had to reach for a fancy RAG, but the LLM has been pretty good about auto-maintaining index files and brief summaries of all the documents, and it reads all the important related data fairly easily at this small scale. But it's interesting to me because the guy who can literally build any system that he wants chose to use markdown files in an LLM instead of some fancy RAG pipeline. I think that should tell you everything about where this space is going. Andrej broke this down a lot clearer than I just did, so if you want to take a deeper look into the system, hop over to his Twitter page and take a look through the rest of the tweet. There's also a ton of cool ideas being posted about it on Twitter to help you get a better understanding of what Karpathy actually built. So let me show you exactly how this works. This is a wiki that I have called Local SEO. It's relatively small. It's got 6 research reports, 3,500 lines, 180 plus sources, and I had it organized by concept, not by source. So if you look at the articles here, we have about 12 total, and then we have all the raw sources in here, a quick reference guide, and then a short section here of how to use the actual wiki. If I go ahead and open the graph view, which is my favorite part of Obsidian, you can see here down in this section, we have a whole graph from the index that's connected to all these sections right here. So if I were to hop in the index and then click on any of these purple underlined links, it takes me directly to that article, which is what the graph is supposed to be representing, that everything is essentially connected inside of this wiki. So what we're going to go ahead and do is actually go through the entire pipeline of how we can take an article from online, ingest it into our wiki, grab all the images, and show you how we optimize this entire workflow. First thing I'm going to do is hop over to this article I found about local service ads for contractors. We're just going to go ahead to the top right here and use this Obsidian Web Clipper extension. We're going to click on it and then just simply press add to Obsidian. Once I add that to Obsidian, it immediately gets saved into our inbox folder where the entire article gets transformed into a markdown file. Now I'll right click that article, copy the path from the vault folder, paste it into Claude Code where I'm going to run our wiki ingest skill. What this skill does is break down the article, ingest it into our wiki, and update any article or add another article if it needs to. So we'll hop into bypass permissions mode and send this off. And we can see that it immediately hops over to the wiki and that file and starts reading everything that's inside of it. It listed all the raw sources. It listed the wiki articles inside of that local SEO wiki. And what's cool is once it starts to ingest it, you'll see this over here start to move and update, which is a really cool visual representation of this thing working. You can see here stuff is moving around now. Claude tells us it has what it needs. It's going to copy the inbox file, create a new wiki article, update our gaps.md, which I'll go through here in a second, and update our index, update the log, and then it'll delete the inbox file, which just means it'll delete it from this inbox folder over here. I'm going to have our log.md open here. I'm going to scroll through it just so you guys can see that right now that article is not referred in here at all, but you're going to see it get populated here once it's fully ingested into our wiki. You can see it's just continuously moving here and getting updated, adding in new little sections into our graph. Our ingestion process has finished. Claude tells us exactly what was ingested. It tells us that it created a new wiki article, updated the index, gaps, and log.md, gave us some important key findings that we should know immediately. No contradictions were found, so it complements our Google Business Profile playbook and review engine cleanly. It flags something that needs to be changed and then let us know what we still need to fill out. So I showed you guys earlier the index.md, and we can see here now at the bottom that there's a local service ads article that was added. We can hop over to our gaps MD, and this gaps MD is simply Claude Code's idea after our first initial massive research that we did, compiling all the articles. These were the specific areas that Claude figured out we were missing. So in this case, we had 7 gaps that were missing, but you can see here that recently filled Google local service ads was filled out, and now we're not missing that gap anymore. And then finally in the log.md, we can see our ingest here, Google local service ads for contractors with the date of today and everything that we need to know about what was changed. So you can see how pretty much ingesting one new file and how Claude Code uses this system to continue building this wiki out without us really doing anything except finding the articles. So we mentioned the Q&A thing, so let's actually test this out and show you this compounding loop of asking questions, getting the answers, and logging those answers to help improve the system for the future. So we'll go ahead and ask Claude Code, if a roofing company has 0 Google reviews and a thin GBP, what should they do in their first week to start ranking locally? Now, if this is correct, Claude is immediately going to hop into our Google Business Playbook article inside of our wiki, as well as our first 90 days article. It's going to pull answers from those questions, and then it's going to ask us if we want to log it. Let's see if that's the case. So I'm going to go ahead and send off this question. And you can immediately see right here, Claude says, let me ground this in the wiki rather than guess. So this isn't some ChatGPT or some RAG just guessing. This is going directly to the source to get the answer to this question. And look at this answer and how in-depth it is. It gives us a full 7-day implementation plan about how we can start getting ranked locally. You can see here that it cites the articles that it found the information from. It even tells us what not to do, and then gives us an end of the week 1 scorecard. So we're getting incredibly detailed answers directly from the sources that we pulled from the internet, and we're not Google searching, we're not searching anything. We're just going directly into our knowledge base. And at the bottom right here, it's going to ask us if we want to file this answer back into the wiki as Roofer Week 1 Playbook analysis page. So if I'm talking to a roofer about local SEO and he's like, hey, Casper, what should I do in my first week? I could just pull this up. This is how we're going to start compounding the wiki and making it really bulletproof. So now what I'm going to do is tell it to file it back into the wiki and then ask a follow-up question. What I'm expecting to happen is that this is going to get filed, and then we're going to actually pull answers directly from what we just filed in along with the other articles inside of our wiki. So it should essentially build on the last question. Let's see if that's the case and send this off. Claude is filing the week 1 playbook now, which means we'll see this graph here grow in a second. We're going to see it start moving around and sources beginning to get indexed. There it is. We got some movement here going on. Over here at the bottom, everything's moving around. Sources are getting added. So we got our roofer week 1 playbook.md, which is in the index, and it got logged. So we can hop over to the log once again. Scroll down here to the bottom, and now you can see it says the date and query instead of ingest, because this is a question that we asked. And then we have roofer week 1, 0 reviews, a thin Google business profile. It then links us to all the sources that it used, the new articles that got ingested, which we could also see here now in our index. Right after that, once the question is answered, you can see the state at day 7. So it's building upon the question that we asked previously of our 7-day playbook. And then directly sourced from our wiki begins to give us a 30-day playbook of where we should end up and how we should execute that. And once again, just so I nail it on the head, this is that compounding effect in action. Claude asks, want me to file this 30-day play back into the wiki as a follow-up to the week 1 playbook. Then you can see they're tightly paired. The week 1 plus 30-day pair becomes the standard new roofer client onboarding document. We're going to go ahead, file that in, and hopefully at this point you guys see how this compounding loop makes our system that much smarter every single time that we ask a question. One of the cool things for me and you is that Karpathy actually shared the exact tools he uses for his own system. So I'm going to walk you through every single one and then add an additional few on top of this for what I've been doing. The first one is the Obsidian Web Clipper. How we're going to install this is super simple. We hop over into our extensions tab, click on manage extensions, go to the Chrome Web Store, search up Obsidian Web Clipper and install that. Once you've installed that, you're going to hop into the details, go into the extension options, and then down here on the left-hand side, you're going to click on templates. It's going to say default. And then the initial setting that you're going to want to change, you're going to see right here in note location. I've changed it to inbox. It's going to natively set to something called clippings, which will add a folder inside of your Obsidian Vault. If you want to change this, just change the note location to the folder path that you want it to go to. For example, if I open up my Obsidian, I want all my files to hop into this inbox folder right here. And then I can just open it up, and if I ever clip something, it'll just show up there. Just know that if you don't do this, it will immediately get saved into a clippings folder and add that. So just make sure you take account of that. Number 2 is local images plus. When you clip an article that has images, those images are still hosted on the internet. URLs can break, sites can just disappear, and if that happens, so do your images. Unless you use this local images plus community plugin in Obsidian. Then you can just download all the images to your computer and have them for future use, no matter if the site goes down or the articles disappear. Very quick install, just like the rest to come. We're going to hop into our settings over here, go to community plugins, click on browse, and then we're just going to look up local images plus by Catalysm. You can go ahead, install that, and then you'll see it at the bottom here, local images plus. What we're going to do then is quickly set a hotkey in order to just immediately download the files once we clip that source from the internet. You can scroll down this section until you get to the point where it says local images plus, localized attachments for all your notes, plugin folder. We just set it to Control-Shift-D. Once that's done, we can hop into an article like this, press the hotkey, and then all the images will get downloaded into this asset folder for any future use. Why does this matter? Because I definitely didn't think it did at first. One of them is 6 months from now, the URL that you pulled the information from might be dead. Your local copy that you source from the internet and download all the images from will work forever, even offline. Number 2 is Claude Code can actually read all these local images. If there's a chart or diagram inside of the article that you sourced, Claude Code can reference it directly instead of guessing. I would skip this obviously for anything with plain text or random images, but I would definitely use it for anything with charts. Number 3, Marp Slides. Now this one genuinely blew my mind because as you guys know, I'm a huge visual person. This allows you to generate slide decks directly from your wiki. I took one of my wiki articles on local SEO ranking factors and turned it into a client presentation. No PowerPoint, no design work, just markdown. When it comes to client work, I think this is a huge advantage because imagine you finish researching a topic and then for meeting prep with a client, you generate a presentation directly from the research that you just did. In order to install this, we're going to hop back into our settings, go to community plugins once again, hop into the browse section, and then look up Marp Slides by Samuel Cozy. You'll know this is installed correctly because you can just scroll down into your installed plugins. You'll see Marp Slides here, and if this is turned off, just turn it on. But it should natively just be on. The simplest way to use it is just to ask Claude to do it. The prompt is as simple as this. Take my local SEO wiki, point it to the wiki vault folder inside of Obsidian, and turn it into a Marp slide deck overview. Save it as slides-local-SEO overview.md in the wiki folder. So we'll go ahead and send that off. It's going to go ahead and create that markdown file now. Claude just finished up, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is go full screen here, open this up. I can see that it's saved as slides-local.SEO overview. I'll go ahead and click this, and you can see right away that it's saved down as a markdown file. And the way to marp it over into a slide deck is to just press Control-P, then look up Marp Slides slide preview, click on that. Then we can close this down, and now you can see our entire slide deck has been created. And this is just giving us an overview of the entire wiki. That entire process probably took less than 2 minutes. And then obviously, as we add stuff into the wiki, we can just update this slide deck as well. Number 4, Dataview. This plugin lets you query your wiki like a database. Every wiki article that I create has something called front matter. Type, topic, source count, last updated date, any tags. Dataview reads that front matter and builds tables on the fly. This is our local SEO wiki dashboard. You can see how many files we have, the amount of sources inside of those files, what kind of tags they have, and this table will auto update. So anytime we use that wiki ingest skill that you guys saw earlier, and if it has front matter, which it always will, it will automatically update this dashboard. There's no manual tracking, so I can see which articles have gone stale, which have the most sources. So like reporting KPIs is a ton of sources, but something like AI visibility only has 4. So that might mean that this topic might need a little bit more attention, but this just adds another autonomous layer for your wiki. As far as installing this, I might sound like a broken record, but I want to make sure that I cover this for you guys so there's no confusion. We're going to hop into our community plugins once again, click on browse, look up Dataview by Michael Brennan, and go ahead and install that. Again, you'll know it's installed properly when you see it in your installed plugins and this enable switch is on. Number 5, GraphView. This one is built into Obsidian, and honestly, it's probably what gets Obsidian the most clicks. It is so visually appealing. But in this case, what it does is show you the shape of your wiki. You can see our local SEO wiki up top. There's a ton of connections. It looks like a big spider web, but you can see what's connected, what's isolated, what's a hub. So if we hop into something like log, it's a hub to a bunch of different connections. This is what you'll use to spot gaps visually inside of your wiki. So if a concept is mentioned in 5 articles, but it doesn't have its own page, it should, and the graph will tell you that. Mine is connected to my Claude project, so you can see that there's a ton of isolated things that I still need to connect. It's driving me insane. Number 6, the hot cache. This one Andrej Karpathy did not actually mention, but my good friend Nate Herc came up with it, and I thought it was a golden idea, so I had to include it in this video. Nate, if you're watching this, keep killing it, my brother. I'll make sure to link his video down below because he drops some absolute knowledge on this topic as well. I think that every executive assistant styled wiki or project needs one of these. It's one file called a hot.md that you can find inside of your wiki. So if you look on the left-hand side here, I have a file called hot. It's maybe 500 words and it holds the freshest context inside of the entire wiki. It holds notes from the latest meetings pertaining to this topic, my latest decisions, the latest thing I told the AI about this topic. These wikis are great at durable knowledge, but they're not that great at recency. So if I were to ask my assistant to go in this wiki and look at what did I do yesterday, I don't need it to spend tokens and crawl the entire wiki just to find that answer. I want it to go directly to the hot.md because that's where it's going to find the most recent news. Then once a week, I have it go through a process called linting, which we're about to get into, and have it move anything that's stale out of the hot.md. I want to keep this as lean as possible. And the stuff that I move out of this hot cache, I want to put it into the proper wiki files. Think of the hot cache as like a buffer between conversation and wiki. Now, most research wikis do not need this, but if your research wiki touches live client details like mine does, definitely drop a hot cache in. I have them blurred out at the moment, but mine has notes from my latest client interaction at the top. So my agent never has to crawl the entire wiki to know what's actually current. If you have a wiki project and you want to do this for yourself, you can type in a prompt like this. I'm scrolling through it slowly if you want to copy it off the screen, but don't worry, all of this is in a free resource document inside of my free school community. Number 7, the Weekly Lint. In my opinion, this is what separates a wiki that lives from a wiki that dies. If you have a massive knowledge base that you are constantly updating, you need to be running this at least once a week. Now, this idea hasn't even been out that long, but this is the whole idea of maintaining these wikis. It's better to get ahead now than to be catching up later. Up top here, you can see I ran the prompt, lint the local SEO wiki, pointed it toward that wiki, find contradictions, stale claims, orphan pages, missing cross references, and topics that should have their own page but don't, and then give me a list. It then returned this local SEO wiki link report saying that it found 0 critical contradictions, it found a couple minor ones that need to be changed, stale claims and missing updates. It gave me orphan and underlinked pages, some missing cross references, which I'm glad I'm seeing because there's obviously a ton here. And then it gives me a recommendation of next actions. As you can see, it came back with a lot. Now I can either fix it manually or I could just have Claude do it. And you already know what I'm going to do. But to maintain your wiki, it's as easy as typing in one prompt. And it gets even easier because you could just create a skill and have that skill run on a schedule. That way, once a week, your wiki is completely up to date, checks for any contradictions, and maintains its healthy appearance. So just a forewarning, if you build one of these wikis out and you don't lint it, your wiki will decay and you'll be getting bad information, or at least not the best information that you could get. Now that we know how everything works, we have all the tips we need to make sure we optimize our wiki. Let's go ahead and create a brand new one. This will be completely brand new, no existing research, starting straight from scratch. I just want to be able to show you how fast you can spin this up for yourself. We're going to go ahead, hop into a brand new chat window, and we're going to actually research something that I can use. I'm sitting around 380 subscribers on YouTube at the moment, and I have a goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. So we're going to go ahead and build a knowledge base on YouTube growth for small channels. If you're following along, pick whatever topic that you need to actually learn. I'm going to go ahead, paste in this prompt, and essentially what it's doing is using a fan out, fan in technique to spawn a bunch of agents to do some research. We'll hop into bypass permissions mode and just send this off. This might take a couple minutes. Remember, this is the initial massive research that we're doing, so expect this to take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. But let's go ahead and send this off. While we're waiting for these agents to get back with their research, I can show you here in Obsidian that our YouTube growth folder was already created in our research section, which is where all these files are going to get dumped in initially. So there we go. Our fan in, fan out has completed. All our raw research has been saved. We can see here in the top right, if we click into here, we have algorithm 2026, content strategy, a whole brand new wiki isolated here on the right side. We got a ton of research, some of the biggest findings, and then a whole implementation plan for my YouTube channel. If we hop into research, we can see that the YouTube growth section has expanded exponentially. We have a ton of articles in here now based off that raw data that we found initially. And now we can actually do a Q&A with this entire wiki. The wiki is built. Now we got to ask it some questions. Let's see if this thing can really help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to go ahead, paste in this question. I'm just pointing it directly to the wiki. And I'm saying I have 380 subscribers and I post twice a week. Thinking about adding another day of posting. What should I focus on for the next 90 days to hit 1,000 subscribers? I told you guys I'm going to try and hit this by the end of April. So let's just say next 30 days and then go ahead and send that off. We got our answer back. And I must say, I'm pretty impressed. We got some honest pushbacks, like not adding a third posting day, which I'm probably not going to listen to. And then also saying from 380 subs to 1,000 in 30 days is very unlikely. Gives us some math on gaining those subs. And overall, just a really, really solid answer that I'm going to have to dig into at a later time. And then as always, it's going to ask me if it wants to file this exchange back into the wiki as an analysis article. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, file it, and then send that off. Now, I just learned a lot more and our wiki just got smarter. We can see that we have a new article that was published and then also our log was updated, which I pulled up here on the right-hand side of our analysis from 380 to 1K subs in 30 days reality check. So it logged the question, it filed it, and then it gave us some decisions that are being captured. It also logged all the sources that it pulled information from. And then just for fun, I'm going to create a slide deck of the overview markdown file that's inside of our YouTube growth vault. Our YouTube slide was created. We'll go ahead, open that up, press Control P. Open it as a slide preview, go ahead and go full screen, and here we go. We have YouTube growth at 0 to 1K subs, 10 things that actually matter. Search is your only real traffic source. And we have a whole thing that I can go ahead and look at now that I could actually learn from and start growing this channel even more. And then as always, I just did that entire thing in about 200,000 tokens. So I'd like to show you guys the price of being able to research and create an entire new wiki. I obviously sent 6 Sonnet research agents out. If you guys send a little bit less, you probably use less tokens. But I just wanted to show you that for 200,000 tokens, which is about a fifth of your entire Opus 1 million context window, I think that's pretty good and relatively cheap. As far as usage goes for Sonnet only, which is what we use for the 6 research agents, we used about 9% of our Sonnet only window. Our current session, we're sitting at about 76%, but I've been doing a couple of things on the side. Also, make sure you claim your $100 in free credit, which I still haven't done yet. I don't know why. All right, so you've seen me build it. You've seen everything that you need to know at this point to go build a wiki for yourself. Now, let me take a step back, zoom out, and tell you exactly why I think this new pattern of RAG beats the traditional pattern. Now, if you don't know what RAG is, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And most AI documenting tools use something like this. This right here is the traditional RAG pattern that most of us have used before, which is upload, chunk, embed, store, search, and answer. In theory, it sounds really smart, but here's the problem. Every single question you ask it, it restarts from scratch. Nothing accumulates, and if you ask it 50 times, you'll get 50 different answers. Now, if we look at the new pattern, which is this new wiki LLM knowledge base pattern, we collect, compile, put it into our wiki, ask questions, file those questions back, which then compounds our wiki, and then we continue to do so, building it up. That way, if I forget something and I ask the wiki the same question, I'll get the exact same response that I got the first time. Or even better, I'll get that response plus some more information that it missed the first time. Now, I'm not going to sit here and oversell this entire thing. This wiki pattern definitely has a ceiling. At small scale for personal use, like an executive assistant, you're golden. I think this is better than RAG on every single axis. Cost, simplicity, synthesis. But if it's millions of documents spread across an enterprise or something at a large scale, it's not quite there yet. You're definitely going to want a real RAG system or some sort of knowledge graph. Crawling the wiki at that point will get way too expensive. But if you're a solo operator like myself, a small team, or you're building a personal second brain, which is exactly what I'm going to do after this video, you are nowhere near that ceiling. You'll never hit it. If that's the case, I just build the wiki. You can think of it this way. RAG is like hiring an assistant who has amnesia. Every morning they forget and they have to start over. You ask them a question, they search the database, they give you an answer, and then if you ask the same exact question, it goes through that entire process again. Nothing is ever documented or stored. Now, the wiki is a little bit different. You ask, the wiki will check the notes, answer, you like that answer, it'll save it back into the notes, and then if you ask again, it'll build on its initial answer, which causes it to get smarter every single cycle. Karpathy said it best himself. Humans abandon wikis because the maintenance burden grows faster than the value. LLMs don't get bored. The AI handles the tedious part. All you need to do is curate the sources and ask really good questions. One more quick thing before we wrap up. Right after Karpathy's tweet went viral, he followed it up and published what he calls an idea file. It's not code, it's not a repo, it's not an app. It's just a description of the pattern, a written out explanation of what he's doing and why. The link he shared in that tweet is exactly that. This is the idea file. You can take this exact file, plug it into your Claude Code, and start building your own wikis based on your project. To help you visualize it specifically for this wiki knowledge base idea, Karpathy gave us a link to the idea file. We copy and pasted that link, put it into our Claude Code, and let our agent built it out based on our project, so it's custom and our wiki fits our needs. So this is a really cool idea because essentially what people can do is now build out these idea files and then just upload them to GitHub, upload them to X, so that they could share their builds with people and have it more tailored to their current project. Because let's be honest, you guys can follow this video and are you going to get the exact same results I'm getting? No, because your project is set up differently than mine. That's why I think these idea files are so cool, is because they're broad and can be tailored to your project. So the goal is to share ideas, not code, and your agent builds the rest. This could be a massive shift in the space. In the old world, if I wanted to share a tool with you, I would have to push it to GitHub. You'd clone it, install the dependencies, and just hope it works on your machine. Now, I just hand you over a description, you hand it over to your AI, and your AI builds your own version. Customized to your style, customized to your business, your life, whatever the case may be. And to wrap this all up nicely, that's exactly what I did in this entire video. This entire concept started with me just copy and pasting that link into my Claude Code, and it built the entire system you just watched me use. I'll link this file idea in the description. Go grab it, hand it to your AI, and build your own. As always, if you've gotten any value from this video, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps me out a ton. Leave a comment down below on what kind of knowledge base you're going to build first after watching this video. I drop new videos every Tuesday and Friday, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless, guys. Hey. As many of you may know, something I like to do at the end of all my videos is pray for you guys, my audience. I do this because I genuinely care so much about you guys. I really appreciate you watching my videos. I hope all of you had a fantastic Easter. I know that this might feel a little bit weird. It's very weird. I know when someone prayed over me the first time, I was very weirded out. But I'll tell you guys one thing, it's only made my life better. And I hope everyone at some point has someone praying for them. Hopefully I can be the first, but if at any point you feel very uncomfortable, even if you feel uncomfortable now, please feel free to click off the video and I'll see you guys on Friday. But I'm going to go ahead and pray for you guys. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day. Thank you so much for another opportunity to just chase our goals. Lord, I just want to pray a blessing over the person on the other side of the screen who's watching this video, who's taking time out of their day to just learn and try and immerse themselves in this AI world. Lord, I just want to pray a blessing of peace, wisdom, strength, courage, and a serving attitude over them, Lord. Continue to let them be lights in this world. Continue to help them keep pushing for their dreams, help pushing for their goals. And whenever they get stuck, Lord, just embrace them. Have them come to you and just embrace them with your love, your grace, as you always do. Lord, I just pray for safety of everyone watching this video, safety for their families, safety for my family. Lord, in such turbulent times in the world with all the wars going on and everything, it's easy to get anxious. It's easy to get stressed. It's easy to get really upset with all these gas prices, grocery prices. It's getting hard to live. But Lord, we ultimately know that you're in charge. You intend everything for good. There's evil in the world, and there's no doubt about that. But Lord, let us just continue to come to you, pray to you, ask you for grace. Your son Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross for our sins, and we know that there's a eternal life after this. So Lord, let us just focus on you, focus on your glory, and do anything in our power we can to glorify you. And I pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now go have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys on Friday.